Hello, awesome people. Today we're answering the question, can you heal in the same place where you were hurt? Now, this is a really great question, and depending on who you'll ask, you'll get different answers. But what I want to say is, it's possible. It's possible. And I say that with caution because the most extreme places where we see people returning for healing in the place where they've been hurt is in domestic violence relationships. Okay, now let me touch on this for a moment. As a child, as an adolescent who grew up in homes where domestic violence was the norm, I do not recommend people to return to environments with a hope for healing when they've already been given evidence for what's in their future because they've been harmed. Okay, so let me say that again. I do not recommend someone return to a place with a hope for healing when they already have evidence for what's in their future, possibly because they've been harmed. Can people change? Absolutely. How likely is it? Depends on what part of the population you're talking about. And that doesn't have to do with race. It has to do with upbringing and personal responsibility, daily choices. But can you return to the place where you were hurt in order to heal? Now that we've given our disclaimer, I want to say, again, it's possible, but here's something to think about. You have to assess the environment for your healing. You have to assess the environment. So I gave a disclaimer that this statement does not apply to people, particularly women in domestic violence relationships. It may not be wise to go back. We don't know the likelihood of someone being able to change their behavior. And the thing is, a lot of times we try to change behaviors when really it's beliefs that have to change because the beliefs guide the behaviors. Okay? And that's not personal opinion. That's ancestral wisdom, and it's in the neuroscience research. Okay? So beliefs have to change. So we have to think about, is the environment suitable? Is it supportive of my healing? And when you can answer that question, then you have a little more of a clearer idea if you can heal in that environment. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I remember being a younger person and working at a program for girls in Hunters Point. You all know, if you watch my videos, like, oh, she always talks about that place. I absolutely do. I grew up there. And the first time I left because of severe burnout and chronic stress. I was stressed, okay? And I left. I was holding on when a director was hired for the position, and by the time that person got acclimated into the role, I was so tired. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. I was 25 at the time. And then I went back. So I left in 2012, and then I went back, and it was 2013. December 2013. And by going back, I did some relationship talking with God, okay? And doing that, some prayer, helped me to consider if this was an opportunity that God wanted me to have. And the question was, can I really be healed in the place where my heart was broken so much? Now, the answer from my experience is yes. Okay, how did that work? I had to think about the pros and the cons of going back, because not only did I struggle with the kids in that environment because there was no structure at the time that I could understand and articulate and implement, and I didn't have the confidence to do all of that. Again, 25 years old, working with teenagers and younger kids, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I did my best, but I wasn't the director, right? I was acting as a director, but I was not the director. And I didn't have the experience. I didn't get the respect. And a lot of my issues from being 8 years old were coming up, like being mistreated and the things I saw growing up. They were impacting my own behavior, my own beliefs about myself in the role. So I write the pros and the cons, okay, because I brought in wise counsel, okay. I listed my pros and cons, and I decided to take a risk. And the risk was going back to an environment where the kids were kind of about me, and the adults were kind of I don't really know you, but and I had to deal with my own stuff as I went back to that place. So not only was it some of the kids who, look, I emotionally I've matured, and now I've gotten to a place, I'm getting better. I'm not perfect, I'll never be perfect, but my emotional maturity is growing, and I can say, hey, I don't care how you feel about me. We got work to do. We got a goal. We got a vision, and that's when it comes to work. But I was talking to one of my family members today, and I said, would you get in the car and turn the engine on, and it doesn't turn on? Would you sit in that car? Well, why do we do that in relationships? I'll do that in another video. But I say all this to say, there are some steps, and let me recap the steps for you. The steps were, first I had to ask myself, is the environment suitable? I brought in prayer with the Most High. Jesus, help me make a decision. Yes, prayer, wise counsel, pros and cons list, and then willing to take a risk. The risk was, I may feel the same way I felt, and I don't want to relive. Whew, that's something you got to be honest about. Are you willing to go back into that space and relive something, but then move past it? Then move past it. You are completely, oh, look at this beautiful place I'm at. Oh, look at that. And look at that. There's a rainbow around the sun, if you can see it. Okay? So, the risk, beloved, is going back to a place where you're going to be reminded of something that happened in the past, and being able to ask yourself, can I do that again? Can I get past it? Can I go to a point beyond where I was? Can I go to a point beyond where I was? If you are asking the question, can I get to a point beyond where I was, beyond that emotional event, beyond that heartbreak, beyond that pain, beyond that devastation? Can I get further than where I was before that moment? If your environment provides that opportunity because the environment has changed in some way and you are changing, then you can live in your healing. You can experience your healing, okay? But the big risk, my beloved family and friends, is that we have to meet ourselves. We have to meet ourselves in that moment where we are reminded of the thing that we don't want to think about. When we hear the dialogue, we have to meet ourselves. We have to see ourselves as worthy of our healing. Every person that came to Jesus and said, if you are willing, they had to take a risk. They had to take a risk and see where I'm gonna go. I may not be clean enough. People are gonna see me. Zacchaeus got in that tree. Zacchaeus got in that tree and said, look, I know how people feel about me, but I'm trying to see the Messiah, okay? And you have to be willing to take that risk of not knowing what's on the other side. You know, the people said to Jesus, if you're willing, that implies that they didn't know if he was willing. I'm gonna stop the video right here. So, recapping the steps: pray, seek wise counsel, listen. Pros and cons. That's where your assessment of the environment comes in. Be willing to take a risk. And the risk is, can I meet myself in that place of my pain? When people went to Jesus and they said, if you are willing, they didn't even know. They had to go to find out. Go to find out. After you've done your assessment of self and the environment, if there is harmony for your healing, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's not just healing, it's expansion. Because when I went back to that place, I came alive. That's why I always talk about those girls and my supervisor at the time, my coworkers, because they helped me come alive. Okay? I bless you, I honor you, and I hope you have a great day.